Welcome back, everybody. This week for Mythology Monday, we are going to be talking about Jason and the Golden Fleece. I have several paintings I'm going to show you today, but this one's by Jean-Francois Detroit, the capture of the Golden Fleece, the moment of Jason's triumph. So we're going to go through this whole lengthy myth and talk about why Jason is probably the worst hero in all of Greek mythology. But anyway, we have to go back, even before Jason was born, and we got to talk about this Golden Fleece and what it was. Well, long time ago, there was a boy and a girl. Helly and I can't remember what the heck his name is. We'll call him Frank. All right, and they were a prince and princess in the kingdom of Thrace, and they had a stepmother that hated them. All right, so one day the stepmother decides she's going to kill them off, and she sends her henchmen out to murder the two children. Well, the two children, they run away, and they run all the way to the shore of the ocean. They pray to the gods to save them, and lo and behold, the gods actually do something nice. They send down a flying ram, because why not? All right. So they send out a flying ram, and the two kids, they jump on the back of the creature right before the henchmen get to them, and they fly off across the sea. Well, it turns out Helly, she was just amazed at flying on a flying ram. She wasn't holding on too tight, and right as they were flying over the point where Asia and Europe meet, which is now called the Hellespont, she falls off the back of the ram, falls into the sea, and dies, which is why, this area is called the Hellespont even today. And the ram keeps flying on and lands all the way over in the distant land of Colchis in the north of Turkey. And there, to thank this majestic beast for carrying him across the ocean, Frank does the only thing he can do, and slits the ram's throat and skins it, and takes the Golden Fleece to the nearby king and says, "Hey, king, if you let me stay in your court for the rest of my life, you can have this sweet Golden Fleece." And so, of course, the king accepts this offer and allows Frank to live forever in his court. Well, now we're going to go back to Greece, all right? And there was a king and queen. Aeson and his wife had been ruling for years and years, and we have a nice little Lion King story going on. But Aeson had a brother, Peleus, who did not that wanted power. He was an ambitious young guy. Didn't think his brother was up to the challenge of ruling their kingdom, and so he comes up with a nice little coup d'état and overthrows his brother and takes hold of the kingdom. Well, his brother's wife was pregnant at this point with who would be Jason, and as they hear the soldiers of Peleus enter their palace, she gives birth right at that moment. But she has all of her attendants, all of her nurses, all the people around her pretend that the baby died during childbirth. Have them hush up the baby so no one can hear it crying, and she sends the baby away, telling the evil uncle, who was actually nice enough not to murder her, which is kind of cool, sends him off to a renowned trainer of heroes, a guy named Chiron. Kind of like Phil and Hercules. And there he raises the boy to be a fierce warrior. And for many years, he is trained under the tutelage of this centaur. Meanwhile, back in the kingdom, evil King Peleus is getting a little nervous. He knows that he took the kingdom by force, and he feels like some bad karma is going to come for him. So he goes to the Oracle of Delphi, and he asks the Oracle, what's going on? Am I going to hold on to my kingdom forever? And the Oracle says, yeah, you're all good, except if a man with one sandal ever enters your kingdom. And from then on, Peleus became paranoid about anyone with one sandal. And he told his guards, if you see anyone with one sandal, arrest them on sight. Kill them, throw them in a dungeon. I don't want any one-sandaled men in my kingdom. Well, years go by, and Chiron tells Jason about his lineage, how he's really the rightful king. And so Jason decides he's going to go and confront his evil uncle. And so he heads back to the city of his birth. And as he's heading back, there's different stories, but one story is that Juno appears to him and says, hey, can you carry me across a river? And as he's carrying her across this little river, he loses his sandal. But anyways, he will enter into the kingdom and confront his uncle wearing only one sandal, and he will be arrested and taken before the king. And the king will look at him and realize, man, this guy is tough. This guy has some divine origins to him, and I can tell he's a fierce warrior. I don't really want to try and kill him. He might, take out all my guards and kill me. So instead, I'll agree to hand over the kingdom if he goes on a wild goose chase, if he goes and does something that nobody could possibly do, and that is take the golden fleece from the king of the Colchis. So he tells Jason, listen, I'll give you my kingdom if you can go get this sweet North Face for me. And Jason says, all right, man, I'll get a bunch of my buddies together. We'll get on a talking boat, and we'll go around, cause some mischief, and get back this golden fleece. And so he and his friends, including Hercules, Atalanta, I think even Orpheus was on there. They all go on this talking boat called the Argo, and they go around and they partake in some escapades around the Black Sea, but eventually they will come to the court of the king of Colchis. And as they enter, Jason walks up to the king and says, listen, I'm here for that golden fleece. You give it to me right now. And the king of Colchis says, well, I could do that, or I could just kill all of you. I have a great army surrounding my palace, and there's no way you'll make it out of here alive. And so Jason immediately changes tack and says, oh, I was just kidding, man. Really, I just want to hang out here for a while. Is it cool if I hang out in your court and just pal around, take a tour of the sights to see around the Colchis? And the king says, oh man, that's a great joke. You had me. I was really about to murder you all. But sure, you can stay here for a few days. That's fine. And meanwhile, the king's daughter, Medea, a powerful sorceress, saw Jason and thought, dang, that's a handsome lad right there. I think he's boyfriend material. I'm really into face tattoos. And so she decides right then and there that Jason's going to be hers. And in some versions, she gets a nice arrow from Cupid that forces her to fall in love with him. But, whatever. All right. So she falls in love with Jason, and she comes to Jason one night and says, listen, Jason, I can help you get that golden fleece under one condition. You be my boyfriend. And Jason's like, I don't know. What can you really do for me? She's like, well, I know there's a great security system around this golden fleece, and I can get you through it. First thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to tame these wild oxen that breathe fire. All right, you need to be able to put a plow, attach them to a plow. You need to yoke them. And then afterwards, you need to throw some dragon's teeth into the ground. And when you do that, a bunch of undead bros will jump out of the ground, and you need to fight them and kill them all. And then, if you do that, a magical passage will appear in a nearby forest, and you follow that, and there'll be this huge, giant, fire-breathing dragon that you have to subdue and kill. And then once you do that, the golden fleece is yours. And Jason's like, I don't think I can do any of that. I'm kind of terrified of even trying all that. And Medea's like, well, I got your back. If you be my boyfriend, I'll get you through all that. See, I got this nice little aloe vera balm, nice little lotion that you can put on your skin when you're going up against those oxen that'll make sure that you don't, catch on fire. And then I got a real good way to deal with those undead bros that are going to come out of the ground once you plant those dragon's teeth. All right, all you got to do is you got to hide and just throw a rock at one of them. And because they're dumb bros, they're just going to start fighting amongst themselves, and they're going to kill each other. It's going to be awesome. And then when you see that passage appear in the forest, you need to go down into that forest. And when you see the dragon, you need to just blow a little bit of this potion, a little bit of this dust on the dragon's face, and it'll cause that dragon to immediately fall asleep. And Jay says, all right, if you can do all that, sure, I'll be your boyfriend. So he goes and he puts the magic lotion on his skin so he doesn't get the hose again. And he goes and he tames the wild oxen. He yokes them, and he's able to avoid their fire by wearing that lotion. And then he takes the dragon's teeth and throws them into the earth, and a bunch of ravenous undead bros come out from the ground. But he heeds Medea's warnings, and he throws a rock into the middle of these shirtless bros, and they all begin begin pummeling each other, and sure enough, all the undead warriors are killed. And then a passage appears, and he falls down, and he sees this massive dragon, this ferocious dragon. And, he's quite frightened, pees himself a little bit, but then he regains his composure. He goes up and blows the magic fairy dust that Medea gave to him, and the dragon is subdued. And just because, he really wants to show how awesome he is, he goes up and, steps on this ferocious sleeping dragon here, grabs his prize, and rushes off to go back to the Argo, his talking boat, to escape. All right, Medea comes along with him, but it seems like the alarm is raised. The king's men of the Colchis, they know what has happened. So as they jump onto their boat, the Argonauts, they're immediately being hunted down by the king's men. But as they're climbing on the boats, Medea saw her brother, call him Timmy, all right, sees Timmy on the shore skipping rocks and says, "Hey, Timmy, why don't you come on a little boat ride with us?" And Timmy agrees, and as they're heading out to sea, they see the king's men are gaining on them. They're right on their heels. So Medea, being, the awesome sorceress, the problem solver, she really sees only one way to deal with this, and that is she takes young Timmy and cuts him up. Cuts him into little bits and throws him over the side of the boat. And when the king's men see this, they see the heir of their king chopped up. They stop where they are and they start collecting the little bits of chum that are in the water. And that is how Jason is able to escape from the Colchis. Well, if you're noticing, there's a theme here. Yeah, Medea does everything, and Jason's kind of a fool. Anyways, as they return to the city from whence they came, I think it's Thebes. I don't even remember the city where Jason's from. Yeah, let's call it Thebes. All right, as they return back to Thebes, all right, they approach King Peleus and say, "Hey, King Peleus, so I did what you asked. Here's your golden fleece. Can I be king now?" And Peleus is like, "Nah, don't really want to do that. Sorry, man. Thanks for the fleece, though. It's a pretty sweet fleece. But nah, I like being king. It's good to be king." And so Medea again's going to work her magic, and she's going to approach the daughters of King Peleus and say, "Hey, your father's getting a little old. He's looking pretty old. I got a magic way to turn him young again." And the daughters say, "Oh, what do we have to do?" She's like, "Oh, it's just simple. You get a nice boiling cauldron, put a little paprika, maybe a little oregano in there, and then you take your daddy, and you need to chop him into bits and throw him into the boiling cauldron, and he'll jump out like a spring chicken. He'll jump out 20 years younger." And the daughters say, "Oh man, that's a great magic potion you got there. Medea will try it out." So they grab their father, they chop him up, throw him into the boiling cauldron. They wait about an hour and a half, and what they get, a nice stew, nice boiled papa there, but he doesn't jump out young, so they kill their father. And with that, Jason seizes the throne, and he'll end up having several children with Medea, but they'll never really formally get married. And Jason, after a few years, will start his eye will start wandering, and he ends up deciding he wants to marry a young princess from a neighboring kingdom. And when Medea finds out, she's understandably pissed, because she had done everything. If you think about all the trials of Jason, it was only due to Medea's cunning and witchcraft and sorcery that he had been able to really do anything. Without her, he would have just been, stuck in the Colchis without a golden fleece. And so she decides, you know what? I could kill him at any point because he is really the worst hero. He's just a total wuss. But I don't want to do that. What's a way that I could truly devastate him for the rest of his life? And she thought, the most important thing to a king is his heirs. He has 2 young boys. Yeah, I kind of like them, but, revenge is sweeter than, motherhood. And so she decides, I'll just kill his kids in front of him. And so she waits until Jason comes back from courting this other princess and says, "Hey, Jason, you have a nice trip? How's your new girlfriend doing? By the way, your 2 sons? Yeah, well, I'm going to kill him." And she takes out a dagger and stabs them in front of Jason. And then she runs out of the palace, and there is a grand chariot pulled by a fire-breathing dragon. She jumps into the chariot, cackling, and flies off into the night. And she'll actually appear in several other kings' courts. The king of Aegeus of Athens will will host her for a while, and Jason is left, just desolate and deep depression about everything he's lost. In fact, he's going to die pretty unceremoniously. He's going to end up having only one friend in the world, which is his boat, the talking boat, the Argo. And he's going to go and spend all his nights sleeping beneath the Argo, talking with it. It's his only form of solace after the death of his sons. Yeah, the boat's going to get old, and then one night going to collapse on good old Jason as he's sleeping under it, killing him. And that's the end of Jason. So, there you go. Jason the Argonauts. What a nice myth. We have it all. We have it all in here. We have, chopping up of children multiple times, murdering of fathers. We got talking boats that crush heroes. I think there's a moral in this for us all. Until next week.